Alright, good morning peoples. It is a Sunday morning in October 2025 and we're on Elizabeth Avenue at Kippa-Ring. Kippa-Ring. It's on the Redcliffe Peninsula, which is in the city of Moreton Bay in Queensland in Australia. And today we're taking you on a bit of a foot patrol throughout Elizabeth Avenue, but mostly focusing on Anzac Avenue, ANZAC, and the history, or just the history that I remember. I don't do huge amounts of research. It'll only be dates or names of businesses if I've forgotten them, or buildings. Most of it's just off my memory. Meant to be just not a history lesson, but just a trivia, I guess. So currently looking south, so if you keep continuing down this road, you're going to end up on the bridge exiting Redcliffe, the Redcliffe Peninsula, and then look this way heading north. You can veer around to the left and you will make your way out through Rothwell, and then depending on which route you take, you'll end up either in North Lakes or Deception Bay. And then if you turn right at the big intersection a bit further up, you're going to end up heading down towards Redcliffe. So here's the Kippa-Ring State School. I don't think I know. There used to be Sunday markets here, and starting at 6 o'clock in the morning, way back on that oval there, and all gone now, I guess, with the eBays and the second-hand markets online. All the Sunday markets basically have disappeared. Flea markets, they used to be called. Okay, across the road here you've got a childcare centre called Bumper Bears, and I think it might have something to do with the fact that it's on the site. Someone saying hello. On the site of what used to be the Redcliffe 5-Star Bowl, or later in its life became known as the AMF Redcliffe. So Bumper, putting two and two together. I'm guessing that's the play on words. Right, I'm going to jump across the road and tell you a bit more about this area. So where the Bumper Bears ends, which is up about here on the camera, this used to be all the bowling centre. So the bowling centre used to go right up to the back here, and there actually used to be a shed, probably located somewhere in here, that had all old bowling pins in it, and equipment for the bowling centre. And the rumour is that one of the old mechanics who worked in the bowling centre used to shoot his air rifle at the bowling pins. Anyway, around about 10-15 years ago, they must have purchased or leased this land and built the childcare centre, and I'm sure that the bumper has something to do with the Tempin Bowling Centre that used to be here. Now, in this sort of behind, and we're going to go up there shortly after we'll actually go down the driveway and have a look. There used to be a drive-in movie theatre here, but not anymore. Next spot is GYG, this restaurant here. This used to be a Red Rooster on this site here. I love the Mexican garden, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it used to be a Red Rooster, and you can see the Fitness Cartel, which used to be the bowling centre, in the background. Funny story was the drive-through used to be located down there, about there on the fence, and some young people, not saying it was me, but maybe it was, used to wait till there were cars lined up at the drive-through and yell out stupid things. Spent a lot of time in the bowling centre, so was one of the lighter moments, I guess. Yeah, so the Red Rooster sat idle here for years. Empty for many, many years, which was pretty much an eyesore in the end. And it had been closed for about 10 years. And then it was taken over. This whole site was taken over here, redeveloped. The whole lot was demolished, and they built the 2 food outlets here. So the next business here is Slim's Burgers. So where this is located had been a few different businesses over the years. I remember it distinctly being a bottle shop. In fact, I remember buying a 6-pack for a mechanic who fixed my car for free. Went and bought him a 6-pack, and then that was the payment. Got some water leak in here. I might turn it off. It's better. I was wondering where the sound was coming from. Yeah, so it was a bottle shop, and I remember they asked me for ID. It was the first time I think I've ever been asked for ID. After that closed, then you had a car wash open up there, so it was not a drive-through car wash or a big style of car wash. It was more a hand car wash, and it was called Washworks, Washwoorx, and that wasn't here for that long, maybe 3 or 4 years. I don't have the exact dates. And that moved down to Elizabeth Avenue on the left-hand side, just before you see Clontarf Beach State High School. So across from the church there. Not quite sure what the church is called, but yeah, just located there. Where the old car yard, there used to be a Japanese import car yard there, and I do note that it's recently closed because I took my car down there to get the windscreen cleaned. Really a lot of build up on the windscreen, and the guy was really helpful. Sort of spent about maybe 10-15 minutes talking to me, and wasn't able to help me anyway in the end with my windscreen, but I noticed a few weeks later that it announced that it was closing, and that had been around for a fair while. That business seemed to be pretty popular, and he did tell me they charge $500 to fully detail a car for a car dealership, which surprised me. It's a lot of money for a car. Anyway, after that it turned into a little car hangout. So it was a little cafe or restaurant bar kind of thing named Beardy's, Beardy', and it had a good reputation. I never went there myself, but I know a couple of people who did, and had a fairly good reputation. And you'd always see classic vehicles and everything in there on, you know, the more relaxed nights of the week, like Friday night. You'd see all hotted up cars in there. Anyway, it's now Slim's Burgers. Been there once. The chips were extremely salty, and it's got this kind of US diner kind of vibe going on. They bring your food out to your car if you want to sit in your car and eat it here. And yeah, that's their kind of MO they've got going on. I didn't think much of it myself. It was pretty expensive, and yeah, not something probably I'd go back for. Yeah, so this is Fitness Cartel, the gym. Okay, and used to be the site of the two things, Redcliffe AMF, up until 2018, but it started, the bowling centre started here as 5 Star Bowl, owned by the Souris, SOURRIS, and I think it was Peter and James, but I may be wrong about that. So a lot of memories here. I played in multiple leagues here, represented the centre, the junior nationals, all that sort of thing. A lot of memories, and unfortunately bowling is, I guess, a bit of a dying sport. Been lots of reduction in centre numbers around the place. Centres have closed all over southeast Queensland. You've had Lawton close, this one close, Clayfield's gone, Green Slopes is gone. But lots of memories here, thinking about all the stalwarts of the place. Bruce Dunn, Ken Mills, Rick Harris, the old centre manager, Penny, the deputy manager, all the canteen staff, Tracy Roys, and all those people who, were always here. And when I first started at this place, it used to be heaving. It had hundreds of league players, and you usually have 2 leagues a day, either one in the afternoon, such as like a teenagers, something like that, and then one in the evenings. So might have one in the mornings. Sorry? Some bloke upset. For what reason, I don't know. So it used to be 2 leagues. So you either have one early in the afternoon, maybe 3-4 o'clock, and then you have a later one, or you'd have one, around the 5:36 mark, and then you'd have one around the bit later, and it'd be full house. There were 20 lanes, be a full house, so you'd have 60 people per league, if not more. Sometimes 80 people per league. They had leagues on Saturdays, leagues on Sundays, tournaments. Redcliffe City Open was one, and it was heaving with people, hundreds and hundreds of members. Hundreds of members across the different competitions and social leagues. You had disability leagues, you had golden oldies leagues, and all that sort of thing. This site sat vacant for ages and became a gym. It was really sad seeing it close and then sit idle for ages. But so many memories here. It feels like yesterday that it closed. I did have a couple of lane records here on 7 and 8 and 1920, but that all got taken down towards the later years, and it closed, regrettably. Off over in the distance, just a bit further here, I might just wait for this car to go past. People are a bit sensitive this morning. Over in the distance here, you did have, other than a couple of plovers that would be a bit dangerous, in 1965 there was actually a drive-in movie theatre here, so where all those houses are over in the background there. So this building was still here, but you also had a drive-in movie theatre, so a big screen, cars could drive in and you could watch movies, but didn't last long in the greater scheme of things. I think it started in 1965 and ended in 1986, so 21 years if my maths is right. A lot of great memories here. I actually used to be in a league called Village, VILLAGE, and we used to tour every year or every second year. We used to tour the Wide Bay area, so Kingaroy and so forth, and we would take our league on the road. So one year they would come here, they would get a bus and come down and visit us and play us in a challenge, and then the next year we'll get a bus and go up to Kingaroy and challenge them. We'll spend the weekend up there, which was always a bit of fun. Anyway, a lot of great memories here. I might move on because there's a couple of unhappy people, which is unusual. Some people stop and chat. Sometimes they tell me things that they remember when I tell them what I'm doing. And they add to my knowledge. Well, they remind me of things sometimes that I've forgotten about. And then other times they just yell abuse. Which it's a bit weird. I'm not yelling it at them. Anyway, there used to be a bowling pin here on this sign, which was a bit of a Redcliffe, and it had lights pointing up at it. Bit of a Redcliffe icon, I reckon. Okay, next building is currently vacant. Has been vacant for a little while, and but has had a few different businesses in there over time, including Kmart Tire and Auto. Used to be in here, and Thrifty Car Rentals. Not a business I don't think I've ever been in there. Well, I don't think I had ever been in there. Ready Express used to be Shell petrol station, and then I think Coles did some deal with them or bought them out or something, and then that all fell over. It's now called Ready Express. Now they are putting lights in here. This is the corner of George Street. George Street on the other side, Miller Street, Miller on this side, and Elizabeth Avenue. They are putting lights in here. There was a very serious motorbike accident that happened here. Someone was killed. But I don't think that had anything to do with the lights. This area is just getting busier and busier every time I come up here now. In fact, I don't even come up here. I'll cut through the back down Miller Street or down near the train station, because the traffic backs up on Anzac Avenue. Sometimes you've got congestion all the way from Bunnings, all the way back up to Clontarf Beach State High School, if not further. And it's only getting worse as the North Lakes Mango Hill area has grown. People use this area to get home in the afternoons, and yeah, it's getting worse. Okay, this next building here is reasonably new, I would say, for Redcliffe. And it's currently Kindred Real Estate. So you might remember from my other videos when I did Oxley Ave at Margate, that Kindred Real Estate is down there, or was down there, sorry. So that was the original location. I think it's 35 Oxley Avenue. It then moved to... No, sorry, it wasn't 35 Oxley Avenue, but it was on Oxley Avenue, opposite the Handy Market there. And then it moved to 35 Redcliffe Parade, Kindred Real Estate. And then afterwards, it's now moved here. This is a massive showroom they've got. They must be doing all right, because this is huge. Now this used to be Village Motors. So where we're standing right here used to be the Holden yard. Over in the distance there you had Nissan. You can actually still see the Nissan sign up there. Might go and have a look at that. I bought a brand new car from here. There's a lot of memories there 13 years ago, and I remember it sitting just there underneath there, ready to go for me on the day. Where's that time gone? And then you had Renault as well. Renault vehicles here. And you can see a service department there. See the writing, service. Yeah, Nissan used to be here, and then you had used cars down the end. You can see the Nissan logo there. Yeah, you had used cars down the end in that part over here. So Village Motors has moved, and it's moved to Petrie. Sorry, not Petrie. There used to be Village Motors at Petrie, which was Holden and used cars, and then Village Motors here, which was Holden, Nissan and Renault, and then the Petrie site, which is near the Petrie train station, has sat vacant for years. It's just a shell now. It kind of got damaged by squatters, I reckon, and then so it's all vacant now, sitting there derelict. And this site moved to North Lakes, behind the shopping centre, and you've now got Holden is no longer exists in Australia, so you've now got a bunch of, you got Nissan and you've got a bunch of smaller brands. I think they sell those really oversized pickup US style utes, Ram or something like that, GMC or something like that. So that's the site there. I might just move into the shade. Very hot this morning. Okay, so there's the site there. An interesting thing about this site is that big building in the distance there was a COVID vaccination hub during COVID. So had a mobile pharmacy in there. They had about 30 chairs for people to get vaccinated, and even a bed for anyone who was a bit nervous. Yeah, so I remember getting vaccinated there. The next site here is 439 Elizabeth Avenue. So this is, as you can see, some townhouses, and this used to be a caravan park. So it goes all the way back. I think there's 151 little 2 and 3 bedroom townhouses in here. It goes all the way back over here, all the way down Miller Street, and a fair way back. I actually lived in there for one point when it was basically brand new. It's not much privacy in there because there's not a lot of green space, and you're living right next to people, like living in a sardine can on top of everybody else. But yeah, it used to be a pretty rough caravan park called Aloha, ALOHA, and then in the early 2010s they demolished the caravan park and built this accommodation here. It's actually quite convenient if you need the train line. So we've got the Redcliffe Kippa-Ring train station just a couple hundred metres away. Obviously that was not there when these were built, but it'd be quite convenient if you worked in the city or something, and you wouldn't need to park a car or anything. But yeah, so that's sort of this part of Elizabeth Ave. There's not really many businesses. There's quite a gap between sort of the next lot of businesses in the industrial area on the right hand side and Snook Street as you head south. So we're going to continue, and we're going to head east. So another business, I'm not going to go over there, but is the car yards in the distance there. That used to be Torque Toyota, TORQUE, Torque Toyota, and it's moved now from here out to North Lakes. So when you're going to along Anzac Avenue and you want to go to the shopping centre, the Westfield or the North Lakes Westfield, it's on the right. I think they've got Honda now, Honda, Toyota and something else there, all under the Torque brand, Torque. But that was their original location there. Okay, we're going to cross the road now and we're going to go and have a look, start working our way down Anzac Avenue. Bit of road works going on here. Right, you've got Caltex in front of us. Well, it used to be called Caltex, now called Ampol. Petrol station, that's an Aussie petrol brand, Ampol. I'm sure it means Australians manufactured petroleum or something like that. But I'm not sure, I'm only guessing. Used to be a Caltex. And it's been here forever. In fact, the first time I ever got petrol in my own car was here. And something that I did see was a car come flying through this intersection one night and end up hitting the block of units over there. The lady was pretty seriously injured on that day. Okay, so here's Anzac Avenue, heading east, goes all the way to the Redcliffe waterfront. Heading west, goes all the way to Strathpine, Peachtree Strathpine area, so it's massive. And my understanding is that the history of Anzac Avenue is that it was paving the road was a project to give returned servicemen work after one of the wars. I'm not sure which one, but I assume World War II. There is information about it down at the corner of Redcliffe Parade and Anzac Avenue if you want to read it on the roundabout. Cash Converters used to be a retail store, big second-hand store, but it used to be pretty big inside, but I think the internet's really curtailed that, and so that's just a loan area now. It's pretty small, looks like a little office. Repco, car parts, been here forever, at least 20 years. And yeah, I tend not to go there, I find it a bit expensive. Mind you, nothing's cheap these days. Westpac Bank, always been a bit of an eyesore. Always had this corridor here that they locked off a few years ago. And always had rubbish and junk and graffiti and stuff everywhere. It's always like that. Bit of graffiti there. Terrible. Next location is 292 Anzac Avenue. This used to be a Commonwealth Bank. So Commonwealth Bank used to take all of this tenancy here. Used to be massive inside. Looks like it's vacant. It is vacant. So it's got a law firm up there now and a physio, but in here there's been various things. There's been a medical centre, radiology clinic, but it looks like it's vacant again. Okay. Hungry Jack's. Pretty much always been Hungry Jack's. Not my kind of burgers, but very popular. So we're heading east and we're on the northern side of Anzac Avenue, and over in the distance you can see that's the Kippa-Ring Village Shopping Centre, and then this is the Peninsula Fair Shopping Centre. They're actually two different centres, two different centre managements. and sort of, I suppose, informally referred to, if you live in Redcliffe or know the area, as upstairs and downstairs, because one used to be outdoor. There was the upstairs centre was outdoors, so if you went in summer it'd be boiling hot, and downstairs has always been indoors. And I think it's fair to say the downstairs ones always had the better shops, but I don't think that's the case anymore. I think that's even the scales up a bit. Bus stops used to be underneath the shopping centre. Not sure why they moved them here. It seems a bit odd if you've got people relying on public transport. They're having to walk a fair way, especially if it's hot, to get to the shops. But maybe it had something to do with the noise or the fumes underneath. Underneath the movies, the Hoyts Cinemas. It used to be called AMC Cinemas over in the distance there. And at least two of the staff that I know of from the bowling centre, including the deputy manager, whose name I think was Penny, left the bowling centre and moved to work at the cinemas. Now, a couple of other things I should have said earlier about the bowling centre. So just while we're walking, it is, or the land at least, was owned by the Souris's, the SOURRIS. They also owned, well, I think they still own the Aspley Bowling Centre and the former Aspley Drive-In movie theatre. And they also own a bunch of little independent movie theatres around the place. I think there's one in New Farm and around the place. There's actually one called 5 Star somewhere. Might be one in Red Hill as well. So, still doing the entertainment, hospitality kind of movies theme. And every now and again they pop up in the news. You'll see them promoting the little independent movie theatres. Makes you wonder how they make money when so much streaming and downloading things. Coming over to Silly Solly's here. I don't think this is open, but it used to be Lincraft, Lincraft. So here it is here. I don't know if it's open. I came the other day and looked stupid knocking on the door. So this has been a couple of different businesses over the time. Most recently it was a Lincraft, which was a material, craft supplies, all that sort of thing. Before that it was a Mitre 10. And it used to compete with the Bunnings actually, which was located on Anzac Avenue about 100 metres from the waterfront, where the Blue Water Square shopping centre is. Before, Bunnings was everywhere. And I remember thinking, what a strange name. But now, they're every weekend. Okay, this next building is the Ariala Buffett restaurant place. See if I can get some shade here. It's feeling the burn today. Used to be Centrelink, and suffered a fire in 2013. I actually happened to be walking along here one night, the night of the fire, and I used to live a bit further back in Kippa-Ring, and I was just going for a walk, and I walked past this to go to visit the car yards. It was about early evening, it was dark. And when I turned around and came back, it was on fire. And there were fire trucks everywhere. So they moved out. Morning, mate. And they moved to, just going to grab some shade down here. They moved to Margate, directly across from the Woolworths shopping centre, Margate Village shopping centre. Centrelink. Okay, so there's a couple of, well, there's one tenancy here now, which was F45 training, which closed in September. It was part of the sort of trendy gym, come in and blast yourself stupid for an hour and then you're kind of done for the day. They're dropping like flies around the place, this franchise, lots of them for sale for a bargain price. So this used to be Video Easy actually, and it used to end here. So that side was Video Easy, and used to be a wall there, and an old school video shop. Feels like yesterday I was there. So you walk in, counter was there where you'd return your DVDs, games or tapes. At one stage that was a Lifeline store as well, I think after the Video Easy closed. And then this tenancy on this side here used to be, it's what it's got doors here and doors there, used to be Eagle Boys Pizza. So during the day I'm in perfectly positioned. You'd go get your video, go get your pizza, and then you'd be sweet for your night. But both feel like a thing of the past. Next place is 236. Up the back here has always been employment agencies or Serena Russo or something like that. This place here is an adult shop, and never been in there myself personally, but it has had a few different tenants over the years. At one stage it was a pool shop, which has moved next door, Crown Pools. At one point it was actually for a long time it was a bike shop, bicycle store called Bums on Bikes, and I think they had two locations, one here and one at Strathpine, and they seem to, I could be wrong about this, but seem to sell more upmarket bikes than Redcliffe cycles. But one of the two that I know of anyway, two bike stores on the peninsula. Okay. Keep moving on. Pool shop, been here forever and still there. Okay. So we're now coming up to the corner of Norcott Street, Norcott. On the corner here you've got Holistic Horizons, which is a disability support kind of service. It used to be Lifeline, a Lifeline store and a bridal shop before that called Curves, Curves. Back on this side you've got the Boral plant. So this is concrete. It's a concrete plant. I don't ever remember it not being here. It always seems to be busy. Next location is the Peninsula Fitness. They've got 2 locations. They feature in another video I did of Margate. They've got a location in Bain Street, Baynes, and this has been here for about 20 years. Next location is Inspiration Paints, 226 Anzac Avenue. It's been here for a while. Was very busy in COVID, helping people with spending their time during COVID. It used to be a pack and send, so a place where you could send things using freight, and then for some time this was a car dealership. It was Renault motor vehicle dealership, but now a paint store. Next place is Goodyear. Been there forever. Never been in there myself, but it's been there for a very long time, as has the next 2 businesses actually have been here forever, which is Peninsula Paint Supplies, and I always thought this was a car paint place, but it's not. It's a home paint, as well as Redcliffe Car Electrics has always been here as well. Never been in there. I've always been to the one in Clontarf. There it is there. Next place is the car dealership. They currently do Mitsubishi, Suzuki, MG, etc. Did own a Suzuki wagon for some point. Went in there to buy parts and they were surprisingly cheap. Got the new Suzuki Jimny here, looking very smart. Next location is the ALDI. Looks like it's under renovations. Been here nearly 20 years. And it's been changed. This area here has been changed. You can see the line in the concrete here. It's different because this used to be the driveway. And they've closed it off. Moved the driveway around to the side. There it is there. You can see Anzac Avenue pretty busy. Pretty busy for an early Sunday. We're moving up to Spark Street, SPARKES, and we'll just find a bit of shade and give you some detail about this part of Anzac Avenue. So directly across you've got a used car lot, which is Norris Group Used Cars, so the same car dealership that we just walked past. So this is where all their used cars are. G'day mate. And has been a bunch of different businesses on this site. I remember it being Graham's Automotive. That folded. It then became some sort of second-hand store for a while. After that, it became a tyre shop, and then at one point had an extension put on one side of it, which was a hand car wash. And then more recently knocked down. I remember driving past one day, seeing it here, and driving past a couple of days later and it was no longer here, and then there was concrete. And now the car yard. Okay, and if you just go down here, if you turn either left or right, that's High Street, H-I-G-H, which is this sort of semi-industrial area of Kippa-Ring. It's got nowhere near the amount of businesses, I would say, that the Clontarf industrial area does, but nonetheless there's still a lot of businesses down there that can come in handy. This is Jack Beedham's. Oh, this is another iconic Redcliffe business. It's been here for decades. I don't ever remember it not being here. I'm pretty sure it's been here 50 years. And for a period of time they had a used car lot here. You can see there, JB Cars Wholesale. Not sure what's happened to that, but it's either folded or they've moved it. There it is there, JB Wholesale Cars. This used to be in a vacant lot. These look like, these give me reminders of COVID, the old testing tunnel of COVID. This next building here is currently a mental health walk-in centre, Medicare mental health walk-in centre, but has been a bunch of different businesses over the years. Including, pardon me, including a financial planner or an accountancy firm and a employment agency, I think, which was named Tursa, Tursa. Just having a little squiz in there. Gee, it looks a bit unfinished. Mental health centre. And you've got a Vinnie's here as well, St Vincent de Paul. Family Support Centre. Can't say I've ever seen that open. Next business is Midas. It's been here for a long time. And a mechanic down there called Silver Fox. I never knew that was there. Been there for ages. Can't say I've ever been in there either, of all the years I've lived in Redcliffe. Next building is on the corner of Oleander Street, Oleander, and Anzac Avenue. And it's currently called Mobility and You, but this used to be JT Press, which was a printer. And I have had something printed there before. I've had some flyers printed there many years ago. And you can see their old advertising here, printing. At the bottom there, JT Press. Good old JT. Yep, Oleander Street. Across the road. And we can see someone's put up a memorial here. Whoops. A paint store. This has had various names. Currently, PPG, Taubmans Professional Paint Centre, have been in there decades ago. This next building is currently called nothing. It's vacant, I think. Oh no. Looks like there's stuff inside. So this used to be Northfield, Northfield, Northfield Car Sound. So this is where you got all your CD players in your car when that was all the rage. Speakers, boom boxes, subwoofers, etc. And this also happens to be the end of the lap. If you were lapping Anzac Avenue, you would turn here, do a U-turn here, and you go all the way back down to the waterfront, go around the roundabout and do it all over again. So you'd often find cars Thursday nights, Sunday afternoons, parked up in here, watching. Or a police officer waiting for people to do burnouts. Just move up, grab some shade at this next location. This next location here is called Sound Garage. So, sounds a bit Northfield-ish. Navigation, audio, visual, cars, etc. Car stereos and that sort of thing. Used to be Redcliffe City Wreckers. And over on this side, 184 Anzac Avenue, had their yard. So this is where they had wrecks of vehicles, and also they would tow vehicles that broke down. Next business is MR Automotive, and this is a Land Rover European sort of vehicle specialist, and I don't ever remember it not being here. MR Automotive, and if you drive up here, there you go, independent Land Rover specialist. And if you drive up here on any day of the week, you'll see Land Rovers, Range Rovers parked out the front. Next one is 180 Anzac Avenue. I actually don't know anything about this location, other than used to have an LJ Hooker here, real estate, and an aquarium. Don't know if either of those things are still here, but we're going to cross the road and we're going to wrap up on looks like someone's taken out a set of lights up there. We're going to wrap up talking about this location here when there's a break in traffic. Pretty busy for a Sunday. Lots of people out and about. Probably people going to the Sunday markets at Redcliffe Waterfront. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this location here used to be SEQUEB, South East Queensland Electricity Board, warehouse and their depot and everything. You used to be able to go and pay your bill, pay your power bill inside. Not anymore. Has been taken over by the Metro North Metro North Hospital and Health Service, and is now got 3 different services that are provided here. So the first one is through there, which is the aged care facility called Coinda House, COOINDA. I have worked there actually. I worked there on and off for a few years. Has had some bad press. It's a 60-bed aged care facility, state-run, Commonwealth funded, I think. Aged care facility, and it's got a locked unit for people with high needs, dementia and or mental health issues. So it can be a bit of an unpredictable place to work. So the original Coinda House is located in the Redcliffe Hospital, in what is at some point at least been known as North Block, which is now the outpatients, where the paediatric outpatients is. So that used to be a nursing home called Coinda, and now they moved it here, purpose built, moved it here. The second area is what we're looking at right now, which is the Redcliffe Community Health Centre. Bunch of different community-based, there's the sign for Coinda. Community-based things like outpatient psychiatry and that sort of thing happens here. So it's a health campus. And there's 2 more things I want to show you before we wrap this video up. The first one is the needle dispensing machines. So, don't know where you're from, but here in Queensland, the government provides free needles for IV drug users at various locations. And this is what it looks like. Got a sharp spin here. And then these are what the needle dispensing machines look like here. Okay, so it's free. Jump in and away you go. You can get needles, swabs and yellow plastic bins to put your used needles in. Quite controversial among some groups. The other thing that's interesting about this site is, you won't be able to see it that well, but down the back there where I'm pointing to here is the I think they're called continuing care units. So they're little townhouses or duplex. Whoa, I'm getting attacked by a magpie. Little townhouses or... Whoa! Just come again, come for another go. Little townhouses or duplexes that are for people with long-term mental health issues. Whoa! Oh my goodness. There he is up there, he's not happy. Not happy with me. Might cross the road actually. Okay. Cross the road to get away from Mr. Maggie. Okay, so yeah, the community care units. Whoa, he's back again. Community care units are continuing care units, something like that, located over on the George Street side of the site, and they are, they're designed for people to live in that have been in hospital for some time or have got, significant mental health issues. And I think, oh, he's back again, still swooping me. If my memory's correct, they can be there for up to 2 or 3 years, and then they get transitioned back into the community. Might just cross over here if there's a break in traffic. Well, he's still chasing me, Mr. Maggie. So we're now heading west on Anzac Avenue. Probably going to wrap the video up here. Mr. Maggie the magpie has thwarted my plans to look at the soccer ground. No, he hasn't. I think I'm going to run the gauntlet and cross the road. Hope he doesn't come back for another crack. And we'll wrap the video up on this. This will be our last location that we cover. This is the grounds of the Peninsula Power Football Club, soccer club. He's still chasing me. So there's their clubhouse there, Peninsula Power FC, and their number 1 and 2 grounds. So if you come down here on the weekends, this is always busy. People playing soccer and watching, and sometimes they have interstate or international teams play a game here against the Power. It always seems to be pretty popular. Alright peoples, we're at the hour mark, and we're going to wrap it up here. Hope you've enjoyed the video. I'm still being swooped by the magpie. It always brings... Whoa! He's very unhappy with me. Always brings back memories. Looking around this part of... Jeez. This part of this part of Redcliffe because I've, patronised so many of the businesses down here over the years and driven up this road thousands of times. Probably 100 times a year I would drive up here, give or take. Always brings back memories of the time I spent down here. Anyway, let us know. Maybe your memories are a bit different. Maybe you know something that I've forgotten, or maybe you worked in one of these places and you can give us a bit of goss, a bit of intel on for our foot patrol. And yeah, we'll be bringing you another foot patrol very soon, and hopefully maybe you can suggest where to do a foot patrol, particularly in the Redcliffe area. That's some area I know very well, having lived here for decades. And yeah, hit that like button, consider subscribing if you like the foot patrol format, you like having a look around, maybe from another part of the world, and we'll see you on the next one. Alright, take care.